What's up, everybody? Welcome to Watch What You Say podcast. This is episode 14. And the title of this episode is, Mike's going to probably laugh. The title of this episode is called Double D's. The title of episode 14 is called Double D's. And you may say, Bo, what are you talking about? What are you being vulgar? Double D's stands for the double D's in life, and those D's are destructive decisions. Get your mind out of the gutter. I know what you were thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Triple. See, we have fun here on this podcast, right? We're not just all, but so listen. Some decisions don't destroy us overnight, right? They slowly chip away at purpose, our confidence, our peace, relationships, and identity. This episode seeks to explore how destructive decisions often begin with small compromises, emotional reactions, fear, our ego, silence, or unresolved pain. And how growth starts when we finally become honest with ourselves, right? So, everybody has faced the double D moment, right? A destructive decision. Sometimes it looked like saying yes when your spirit screamed no. Sometimes it looked like staying too long, trusting too fast, speaking out of anger, moving out of loneliness, or shrinking yourself because you feared rejection. And the thing about destructive decisions, they rarely introduce themselves as such. They kind of creep in on you. They usually show up disguised as comfort, validation, attention, escape, quick success. That's a good one. Temporary relief. But eventually, every decision leaves a receipt. So, on this episode of Watch What You Say, we're talking about the double D's in life. Again, destructive decisions. Not to shame anyone, not to act perfect, but to recognize that growth begins the moment we stop lying to ourselves about the choices we keep making. Because healing starts with honesty. And wisdom grows when pain finally teaches what pride refused to hear and learn. So, segment one, or, small choices, big consequences. So now, people might say, Bo, double D's, what are you talking about, right? Destructive decisions. So I'm going to tell you how I came to that name. So a couple months ago, you know that the Trump administration fired Kristi Noem, right? And there had been talk, around the spaces, around the sphere, that Kristi Noem was hooking up with, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but Todd Blanche? I don't know. I think it was somebody else. Okay, see. Yeah. Whoever she was allegedly sleeping with, right, was not her husband, right? And so then it later comes out that her husband, Mr. Noem, was Mrs. Doubtfire. Toodaloo! So he was having fun with, ladies of the night, and there was conversations recorded of him, and there was pictures of him with breastises, right? As with double D's on the DL. And so that got me thinking about, double D's, one, the hypocrisy of certain individuals, right? And then also that is a destructive decision, right? So you're married, and I'm not married, so I can't talk about people's marriages and things like that. But from the outside in, looking in, you are a married man, you have children with this with your wife. Your wife is supposedly having an affair with the person she works with, who has signing privileges, or that she reports to or reports to her. And then also here you are with audio leaked and pictures of you with double D's or triple D's, whatever, you know. And so I got to thinking, that is a choice that leads to big consequences, right? And so, having said that, most destructive decisions begin small, right? A text, a one conversation, one one situation, you know, something that starts really, really small, one gesture, right? You ignore your intuition, right? Repeating cycles because they feel familiar. And I think for a lot of us who have encountered destructive decisions in our lives, it becomes comfort. It becomes a safe space because it's what you've come to know to do. You know, it's your, it makes you feel good. It doesn't provide any sort of discomfort, but it leads to that in the long run. Emotional decision making, I should say, versus wise decision making, and temporary satisfaction can create permanent consequences. And I can think back to being in high school, right? And so, you know, it's graduation season. So anybody who sees this, take heed. I don't know about you guys, but in my high school, shout out to Christian High School, Bulldogs, graduation time, we had, and even prom season too, they had like the car that was like mashed up and it was like set on the lawn. So letting you know that, hey, don't drink and drive, right? If buzz driving is drunk driving, things like that. And so that was put there to remind all of us students that if you drink even just one, do not get behind the wheel, because that temporary decision could lead to permanent consequences, like you taking someone's life by accident, or you even unaliving yourself by accident. So that's an example of that. Sometimes the most dangerous decisions are not dramatic at all. They are very, very subtle. So I want to talk about a time when I made a destructive decision, right? Because I believe in transparency. And so this was probably a decade ago. I had been out at a party with friends and everything, and I had drank and probably had an edible, or maybe I was smoked weed back then. I don't know. But I was, buzzed, I should say. And I came home. I had been out all night, came home, and I still was going to make it to church, right? Because even in my heathenish ways, I still have a mind to give God praise and to say thank you. So, but little did I know, those temporary coping mechanisms, right, the temporary fun, could have led to big consequences. So here I am on the way to church, hungover. I'm being honest, hungover, and I'm on Route 76. If anybody's in Philly, you know what Route 76 is. I-76, and I'm going to church. I fall asleep. I'm getting goosebumps about this, but I fall asleep at the wheel, like a quick second, right? And I doze off, and I wake up, and my vehicle is doing this on 76. And I think it turned 3 times. And all I could hear myself was hollering, Jesus, oh my God, Jesus. And my car stops. Now, mind you, in the time that I turned those 3 turns, it was only by the grace of God, because there were no vehicles on 76 at all. This way, as I was going to, when I turned, there was nothing coming. On either side, there was no traffic whatsoever. I got myself together. I thanked God for my vehicle, me not crashing into anything. And I went to church and I sat in the back of that church and I didn't talk to anybody. I was done. So that's an example. And I thank God today that I have not done that since, or that level of things since, because that was a destructive decision that could have cost me my own life. And if I had died then, how it would have affected my family, my future people, and even my own destiny. I wouldn't even be here sitting across from Mike doing this podcast. So that's an example, a real life example of a temporary coping mechanism that could have led to a permanent destructive consequence. So, like I said, sometimes the most dangerous decisions are not dramatic, they're subtle, right? A missed boundary, a delayed apology, a toxic habit you excuse because everybody does it, i.e., have a little drinky drink, a little shot o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I like tequila. A relationship that drains you, and this could be friendships that is like, oh man, like I know that we should not be friends no more because every time I'm around you, or you are just negative Nancy, David Downer. I just made that up. Any amount of things. And a dream you keep procrastinating on because fear feels safer than failure, right? And that alludes to me having this podcast and developing this podcast. And we'll talk about that more on our future episode. But one small compromise repeated consistently becomes a lifestyle, right? Oh, I don't smoke weed, but try one. All right, I'll smoke a little bit. Then it becomes a habit. Or I just do edibles. Okay, you take a half edible, now you're taking whole edibles. And then maybe for some people that leads to other things, and I let people are grown for the most part and can do what they want. But eventually you wake up asking, how in the world did I get here? But life usually whispers to us before it screams. We are back. This is the cost of ignoring red flags. Red flags in our friendships, relationships, businesses, and our career. So red flag would be that every time your friends have an issue or a friend has an issue, you make yourself available, right? And every time you need something, they're never around. And it's just an afterthought. There's no apology. There's no sorry. There's no, well, this was happening too, and I couldn't, take the time to blah, 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 make it up later. Red flags in relationships, that's kind of self-explanatory. People, lack of communication like there once was when you first started dating, people staying out all night, or people hanging out more with their friends than you are with each other, not making the time to be with one another. Business, just neglecting things, something as simple as calling people back on time when people have called and inquired about your services, just brushing them off because of, I'll put it this way. We live in a social media age, right? And so sometimes people will not do business with you based on your social media following, right? And so you may be as talented or your business may be top notch, but because you may have 1,500 followers and the other person has 10,000 or 15,000, they may neglect to call you back. You may be the better person for the job, but they will go with the person that has the more notoriety or seemingly eyes, which sometimes backfires because if you do your due diligence, you will see that some of these people, I ain't saying no names, but some of these people buy followers. They buy followers. I don't. I thank you to each and every one of my, I think we're over 11,000 now, 11,000 members of the Bowtie family. I love you guys. Thank you. You can't be bought, right? You're with me because of my frequency. You're with me because of my unique brand of silliness and entertainment and motivation and sometimes thirst traps, all that kind of stuff. You're with me for a bunch of things. So I thank you for that. Another red flag, a costly red flag, would be self-sabotage. How many of us, especially those of us who are creatives, have, you're up for something and it's like, this could be really great for me. It could be career defining or helps me to get through to another level. And because you're scared of what it might mean, right? Because I know sometimes I fear success, just being transparent. And sometimes that has crippled me in the way that I can't necessarily put into words, but I have missed auditions, right? Because if I had booked that gig, that would have made me have to relocate sooner than I would have wanted, right? It may have been the best thing for me, but I was fearful because that would put me on make me more visible, right? And so now I don't have an issue with being seen because people are going to talk about you regardless, whether you're doing something right, wrong, no matter what. Someone's always going to have an opinion about you and what you do, and you're not everybody's cup of tea. And I understand that, and that's fine. I'm secure in myself. Choosing validation over peace. How many of us at times have chosen being pick me over peace of mind? And then also ignoring a spiritual and emotional discernment. I'm a believer. I'm not pushing my beliefs on anybody, but I know that there are times when God will tap me on my shoulder and I will feel the energy in the room. I will feel people's energy in conversation, and I will know right away, she's on something different. He's on some other type of time. They are on some other stuff. And I can see behind the conversation sometimes. Like I'm a Leo, and I don't subscribe to all of the astrology things and attributes and characteristics and stuff. But there's some truth to some of the things. And I'm very observant. I like to talk, but most of the time I speak when I have something to say, right? And so I can be in rooms with people and I'm always, so I could be having a conversation with Mike, right? And as I'm having a conversation with Mike, there could be several conversations going on over here, and I'm still aware of what is going on. I may not be able to understand what is being said verbatim, but I can understand people's body language in their conversations that they're having with people. And when I'm understanding their body language, I'm able to discern and get an idea of what energy they are operating in. And I don't know if that's just something unique to me or a gift or what, but it's something that I've kind of always had. So I'm always aware, no matter what state of mind I'm in, I'm always well aware. So sometimes people will be like, well, how did you know that happened? Because I know. Or how did you figure that? Because I know. So that's just a little fun fact. So a reflection moment. Some of us didn't lose ourselves overnight, right? We lost ourselves in pieces. So every time we ignored what we knew, that was that intuition or that God tap on our shoulder saying, you don't belong here, or you're better than this. Every time we abandon our standards just to feel accepted. Every time we chose temporary connection over inner peace. You see, destructive decisions often begin where our self-worth ends. What's one decision you knew was wrong for you, but you made anyway? I'll let that sink in. And, if you want, you can DM me and let me know or write it in the comments or something. But yeah, what's one decision you knew was wrong for you, but made anyway? Whew. pain can either harden you or heal you, right? So your mistakes do not define your identity. I know that we talked about, I believe it was last episode, about, mistakes that you make after you fall, getting back up and moving forward and learning from those mistakes that you made, and how you are not the sum of your mistakes and you are not the mistake, right? Accountability versus shame, growth after failure, learning to forgive yourself. And I think that is one of the biggest, that is an ongoing process. Learning to forgive yourself after decisions that you've made, especially ones that have been somewhat destructive in your life when you knew better. It's something different I think it's easier to forgive yourself when something happens and it's beyond your control and you just react to it, right? But when you willingly and use willful ignorance to make a mistake, or to continue in habits and behaviors that are destructive because you just felt like doing them because it's so common, because it's comfortable to you, it is harder to forgive yourself at those times. But I believe, again, that when you know better, you do better. And so it's an ongoing process of that self-forgiveness and turning lessons into wisdom. And I believe that our lives are not necessarily our own. Everything that we go through is meant to help somebody else, right? Either help somebody who is currently in something, someone who is getting ready to go through something, or to help someone come out of something. And I was talking to my boss one time, and she said, I'd rather it had happened to me, because I'm strong enough to handle this, so that I can be an example of a way out. So I can be an example of what it means to persevere, to rise above. Because some people, some things happen, they would not have survived, right? They would not be able to handle it. And so they need to be able to have somebody who survived that shows that you can make it, that there is life after a tragic incident or trauma. So here's the beautiful part, right? Destructive decisions don't have to become destructive identities. You are not your worst mistake. Some people grow bitter from pain. Others grow wiser. And wisdom usually comes expensive, right? But if you learn from the lesson, the pain that you went through, the pain that is felt, it gains meaning and purpose. And now we're talking about our culture and context. And so how culture often glamorizes destructive decisions. Things like clout chasing, right? Again, I said we are in the world or in the era of social media. And so I was just looking at, what's the guy's name? Chud the Builder. Mike, I don't know if you know about this guy, but this is the guy that has been going around on Kick, right? The streaming platform Kick, and recording himself going in various public places calling black people the N-word, right? And he is, Chud the Builder, you can guess what he looks like. He looks like some back alley, backwashed redneck from Alabama. No disrespect to Alabama, but his long hair, the PDF mustache, yeah. And so he's going into these public places and having these arguments, or starting these arguments, and just saying the N-word just as commonly as you would say bless you to somebody. And so I believe that the story goes that he got locked up because he threatened to put 18 rounds in a black person or black people. And so he got arrested, and I think his bail is set at 1.25 million. Again, that is rage baiting. We live in a day of this rage bait, with hate speech, and he's an example of that. So that's kind of clout chasing. Or you have people who have this thing where they are, recording themselves, just doing all types of things just for the fact to go viral, right? And I'm not against going viral as long as you understand that being viral is only for a moment, right? And think about your life after the viral moment. We have seen many, many social media people, social media stars who get that viral moment and then don't hear from them at all. And then their life falls apart because they only went viral, and then people are chasing that next viral moment, that next 15 seconds of fame, not 15 minutes, but 15 seconds of fame. And then they would just do anything to get back up there, and even to their own detriment. So clout chasing, toxic relationship culture, internet validation, again, people who post thirst traps. I'm guilty sometimes. Thirst traps, fast success mentality, right? I want it today. I'm not in it for the long run. For me, my artistry, the type of artist that I am, I liken myself to be a soul food dinner, a Sunday dinner, right? You got your, oven baked chicken or roasted chicken with your dressing on the side with some collard greens and some warm Hawaiian rolls, and a glass of Kool-Aid that's really black, a glass of Kool-Aid, or a glass of wine, and or maybe a good steak dinner, a nice good soul food, not a hot pocket, right? Not something that you can just pop in the microwave and be done with it, and not fast food. I am a soul food type of artist, right? I'm about longevity and sustenance. Emotional reactions online, right? People who are reacting to stuff, rage baiting again. Cancel culture, right? And impulsive communication, right? People who, I'm going to tape myself going to your job, cursing you out, because I know that's going to get me the clicks and views, right? That's where we have come to. That is the culture and the context. We live in a culture that rewards reaction more than reflection, right? Everybody wants instant gratification. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not going to lie. Instant fame, instant money, instant attention. But slow growth builds stronger foundations, right? And when your foundation is secure, you will not be swayed so easily by the outside forces that come to move you. So a destructive decision made in 5 minutes can create consequences that last 5 years. So here's a watch what you say moment, right? Kind of a final reflection. Our words influence decisions. The conversations you entertain, the voices you listen to, the things you repeatedly say about yourself. Man, I know, I was just speaking to Mike before we were recording about therapy and things like that. And for me, therapy has been one of the best things that I have embarked on. And I think I'm 2 years into my journey after 4 therapists. 2 years and 4 therapists. It's not me, y'all. I swear it's not me. And I swear it's not me. Don't you laugh. I swear it's not me. But maybe it is me a little bit. I don't know. I'm a complicated human being. But having said that, what you say about yourself really does matter. What you think about yourself actually really starts in the mind. So what you think about yourself really dictates how you see yourself and how you speak about yourself. And we have to remember to be kind to ourselves, because like it or not, who you are, this body that you are the only you that will ever exist inside and outside of time, right? That's my belief. I'm not necessarily a reincarnation type of person, but I believe that who you are in this very moment, there's only going to ever be one of you that will ever exist. And so how you treat yourself, how you show up for yourself matters. It truly matters. It all shapes your direction, right? The voices you entertain, the voices you listen to, and what you say about yourself, it all shapes which direction your life is going. And because, that's why, that's why protecting your mind matters, right? Because destructive decisions often grow from our destructive thinking. So mind the voices in your head and mind what you say about yourself. And in closing, you cannot change yesterday's decisions, but you can change tomorrow's direction. Give yourself permission to grow, to mature, to evolve. Some lessons hurt. Some mistakes humble us. Some choices leave scars, and I think we all have some battle scars of life. But scars also prove survival, right? It means that you survived that thing. So if life has ever humbled you through destructive decisions, don't stay stuck there. Learn, heal, adjust, and keep becoming. This has been Watch What You Say podcast. I am your host, Beaux Emerson. And remember, every decision speaks before you do. Catch you on the next episode.